Good morning. How is everyone? How are you all doing? So I was reading in the news yesterday of the follow-up to this Medpro case, this company. So apparently they missed the deadline to repay back the 122 million. And it wasn't just 122 million I was reading, there was interest that had accrued on it of 23.6 million pounds worth of interest. Apparently there's 8% interest on that every year. Anyway, it's not good news. So yeah, like I said, they missed the repayment date to pay back the money. So I was looking more into this, and the company, Medpro, that was set up by Doug Barrowman, who is the husband to, I'll get her name right this time, Baroness Michelle Mone, entered into administration. Do you know, they entered into administration a day before the court hearing. Right? It just, everything is so convenient for this company. So convenient. Yeah. It's just... So anyway, the government organisation which is looking into this is the Department of Health and Social Care. I should give you the backstory if you haven't seen the video before. But Medpro was set up during COVID to provide the NHS with personal protective equipment. So they provided masks and surgical gowns. Right, so this is how it worked, right? Honest to God. They won the contract of £80 million worth of masks and £122 million worth of surgical gowns before the company was even set up. Then they set the company up, right? Just a middleman. And then that company, it didn't actually produce anything. It didn't actually have any assets. It was just a company by name. Went to China, I found out. I wrote the name down. Contacted a company in China called Wujian Tutaki Textile and Finishing Company Limited, right, where they bought the gowns off them. Right, so they didn't have any assets. Like, why would you even use this company? They've never produced any PPE equipment in their life. Yeah, sold that to the NHS. And then the NHS, or the Department of Health and Social Care, sued them because the gowns weren't sterilised, right? So that's a long story short. But the person who referred this Medpro to the Department of Health and Social Care, or to whatever government official was in charge of it, was Baroness Michelle Mone, who was made a Baroness by David Cameron. Right? Because she started some underwear company and made a load of money from that. So to become a baroness or a lord, all you have to do is make a load of money. Right? Make a load of money and you can decide on what laws are implemented in the country. Fucking. Anyway, let's get back to what I was reading yesterday. So Medpro failed to repay back 122 million. So which led me into like a kind of rabbit hole of, well, how is the government actually going to get their money back, right? So on the last published accounts of Medpro, it showed that they had £666,000 worth of net assets, right? 666. So they made 200 million, or they were given 200 million from the government, and now the company's worth 666,000. Right? So how likely is it that the government's going to get their money back? So I was reading about how you can try and accrue that money back. So apparently there's like 3 methods. The first one is like you challenge past transactions. So you look at the company, you look at the books, if the books are legitimate or not. You know, how easy is it to forge books? I don't know enough about this, because surely you can track money through banks and stuff, but I think when it gets to money, that you can't. So they can look at past transactions, they can look if dividends were paid and like where that money went. So I tried to find out where the money went, like in my naivety. So yeah, so from my understanding, I wrote it down. Where did I write it? Yeah. So they bought 122 million pounds worth, or the government paid them 122 million pounds, right? So there's 122 million pounds. The Medpro paid this textile company in China 46 million pounds to make the actual gowns. Right, so right there, like, what the hell? So why is the government getting so overcharged for stuff? Like, realistically, it cost 46 million pounds to actually make them. I know they weren't made correctly because they weren't sterilised, but even still, sterilising them, what, maybe cost an extra 10 million? Even still, the government's getting, like, screwed. Why couldn't the government just go to this textile company in China and be like, oh, can you make us some gowns? Make sure you sterilise them, and here's 50 million or 60 million. Instead of paying a rich guy to set up a company, 122. It's like the UK just gets conned. Our government just gets conned out of everything. You know, it's like, oh yeah, build us a railway. Cost you £200,000 a metre. Right. Anyway, we're getting off track. So, Medpro received 122 million. It cost them 46 million pounds to actually make them, or pay the company to make them. So they made 76 million pounds off that transaction, off that deal. Right, 76 million. So the government can try and look where that 76 million pound went. But I was like trying to find out, and apparently it got transferred to offshore accounts. Like straight away, this is what rich people do. So it goes through loads of different accounts, like in all these kind of offshore havens. So that's one way the government can try and accrue back the money. Another way is apparently piercing the corporate veil. I've never heard this term before, but this is a very difficult thing to try and get through the courts, apparently. It means the courts ignore the limited liability of the company and hold the owners personally responsible. But because, you know, a limited company is limited, essentially there's limited liability, the company is responsible for any of its debts, not the people that own the company. Which is kind of weird as it is, because then that kind of takes the morality out of a company, and this is why you get so many bad companies in the world, because there's no repercussions to the person, because the company doesn't act on its own, right? It's not a living entity, right? It acts due to people, right? And these people should be held responsible, a bit like politicians, right? If a politician doesn't do what they said they should do in their manifesto, then they should be held accountable for that, right? There may be reasons why they can't do that, but just be honest, just own up to the people. Oh yeah, sorry guys, I couldn't do that because of this. You know? And if it's a fair reason, then I'm sure we'll all be pretty fair about it. But they usually just promise the world and then do jack all. Anyway, so there's this method, but apparently this method is like almost impossible. And then the other method is Proceeds of Crime Act, which is like a different thing. It's like it's to do with the National Crime Agency. So apparently the National Crime Agency has opened up a case against them and has seized Barrowman's assets, or at least some of his assets. And we should talk about this Doug Barrowman, because I tried to research him. So he just basically, it's difficult because obviously he's got the law behind him and he's got loads of lawyers and stuff. So he's like, you know, he's saying all the right things, he's doing all the right things. But like, obviously he's saying that the gowns were sterilised, you know? and that there was nothing untoward was done. But we should make him pay back the money, right? Because apparently this guy is worth billions. I couldn't find an actual number. If not billions, hundreds of millions. Right? This is how hundreds of millions. Shady. So he has like a super yacht and a what did I find out? He's got like a £60 million property in the Caribbean. That's just his property in the Caribbean, right? In a super yacht. This guy's minted, absolutely minted. So these are the avenues that the Department of Health and Social Care can go down to try and recoup their money. But there's only £666,000 worth of net assets left in the company. Right, so how do they even get back their 145 million, which they want? Like, they're never going to get it back, are they? I mean, let's be serious. So, yeah. Anyway, I was trying to find where this money got transferred to, and apparently, Doug Barrowman was paid 65 million just for setting the company up and being, in charge of it. And then 29 million pounds of it was transferred to a trust, right? Was it an Isle of Wight trust? For Michelle Mone and her children. So if you are watching this, right, like, do your own research. Don't just believe me. But this is what I found out online. From doing my own research. It's just. I know that life isn't fair. But do these people not think, right? Oh, I've got enough money. Perhaps I shouldn't take any more money off people that actually need it. It's not like the UK government is just swimming in money, or the NHS, just like, that they can afford to kind of get conned out of all this money. It's like, I know they see the dollar signs, right? These rich guys, and they're like, oh yeah, I can make 65 million. Right, I can add it to my 65 million pound, my 60 million pound property in the Caribbean, and my super yacht needs its fuel. And like, if you've not got enough money, like, let's be serious, man. There are so many things out there that we could be just like helping people out with, and then you're just sitting there on your fucking super yacht. Like, fucking, I don't want to say too much because you can probably sue me. Not that you would fucking see it, but people of the British country, like, come on, we've got to do something about this, haven't we? It's like, we can't let these people. Yeah. So, this is all what I found out, and whether or not it's true. Do your own research, and I'm sure this Doug Barrowman's got all his lawyers in the right places and saying the right things, and yeah. So I'll keep an eye out. I'll keep a track of the progress of this Medpro case, because essentially the case is against Medpro and not Doug Barrowman or Michelle Mone. These two are kind of the crime agency are looking into Doug Barrowman separately. Yeah. Well, I hope you're all having a good day. I hope you all have a good day. As always, if there's anything you need to chat to me about, please do. Please send us a message. I'd love to hear from you. Hard times make great people. So if you're going through a hard time, remember that. Like, there's all the cliches in the world. One door closes, another opens. And it's so true. You never know what's in the future for you. Okay, stay positive. Control this, because it just is so good at persuading you otherwise. And yeah, take a pause throughout your day. Just reflect on what's happened, reflect on your thoughts. can get through this. You are a great human being. Have a great day. Goodbye.